and we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico and I am your in-house conservative. To my left, Rob Ambrose, our token lefty, and together we review what's going on in the news. Our goal is simple. We want to show you that people from the left and people from the right can actually get along. And even if we don't agree, especially if we don't agree, we're capable of having a civil conversation. Because remember, common sense has no political affiliations. What's going on, brother?
What's happening, brother? On this beautiful Friday Friday afternoon for me, Friday morning for you. We're straddling it. What's the weather like there? It's not wife beater weather or what?
15 degrees.
Oh my God.
15 degrees. Beautiful sun, 15. Like to a point where I normally leave the window in front of me open and I don't turn on my lights because of the natural light that comes in. But yesterday I overheated my camera because the sun was shining directly on it. So now I had to close the blind,
be so nice.
I'm telling you, I have a couple of things to do this afternoon, but I'm going to just chill outside, edit some videos with a cigar. Like, fuck, I remember when I was in Canada, because we've been doing 6 months, right? So when I'm in Canada, I have a little hunting chair that cost me a few $100. I bought it years ago. And everywhere we went through our travels, through a 20,000-mile travel through the US and even in Canada, I just put it on the ground. I have a little mat that I put on my legs and I edit content and I post sitting there in the middle of the sun, my cigar, just having fun. And I remember having a guy that used to deliver mail where we were in Canada, and he saw me. He's like, "What the fuck do you do for a living?
What are you doing here, bro?"
I'm like, "I trade content, man. Yeah, this is it." And he's just like, "You asshole."
Yeah, it's funny. Of course, I'm in New Brunswick, so it's typical Canadian winter. Still -5, whatever. But it's funny because anytime you meet people around the world and they're like, "Oh, Canadians, you guys love snow." Like, no, motherfucker.
Yeah,
Canadians,
no, we don't.
We hate it. We despise it.
We don't. Yeah,
we
I don't like it
because we have no option, but we don't love it.
Yeah, man, I haven't had a winter in 3 years. This is a third winter I skip. But then because my wife is pregnant, we're going to go back because we literally been on the road for 3 years, give or take. So we've always every 6 months we're moving places to places. And prior to a year ago, we were literally moving. We've done 23 states in the span of a year and a half to 2 years. So
geez, she must be.
So now it's going to be. Oh well, she doesn't want to live in Canada. But she doesn't want to live in Canada either. That's one thing that her and I have in common. We don't like where Canada's going, but we are going to spend a year in Canada so that she can be close because she's pregnant. Like she's 5 months pregnant right now.
Well, yeah,
so
you want to have your baby in Canada.
But she wants to be close to her family. She's Italian. They're extremely close. So we're going to spend a year in Canada, and I'm really, really going to go hard. Since I'm going to be up there, we're going to do a lot of political stuff and I'm going to piss off a lot of fucking people in Canada. And you guys that are listening to this, yeah, but I'm going to do it for real. Right now, I'm doing it at a distance. I'm going to start recording my street interviews like I used to do. I'm going to go talk to people down in Montreal when I'm down there. I'll go to Ottawa. I'll go to all those places and do street interviews like I used to do. So
yeah, that's something you used to do, eh?
Oh, yeah, I've done that all over the country, all over the US. I used to talk to people in the streets. So I have all the gear. I'm all good to go. I know it's easy for me to find somebody to follow me, but in Montreal, they're very left, right? So it's going to make for very entertaining conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm going to hit it hard when I'm back in Canada. Like, we're going to get a really good... We're going to go at it. And, like we were just talking about this before the show, we're not going to reveal anything, but there's things in the works that's happening right now.
Yeah,
there's a massive opportunities for a show like this to really be massive because there is a hole that needs to be filled with this type of content. And
it's definitely resonating. A lot of people,
we're the ones to do it.
People are reaching out to both of us, I think, and saying that they really appreciate it. And, we're getting a lot of engagement on the show, and that's really nice. So, yeah, it's an exciting time.
before I forget, I'm going to repeat it a few times throughout the show, but yesterday I was saying that we would be joined by Judith Curry on March 4th, Tuesday. Misunderstanding, it's Monday. Next Monday, so Monday that's coming, next show actually.
Monday.
Exactly. We're going to have Judith Curry, climatologist that is going against the mainstream narrative of the science has been settled. So we're going to have her on. I'm going to be more of a mediator because I've spoken to her before. So I know what she stands for. I know which question, I know how to direct that conversation. But it's mostly, this one for me is mostly for Rob.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the people on the left are going to be, I feel like people on your side probably already agree with her more or less. And I think, you know, people on my side who are open-minded and actually just want to get the issue right, I think will be interested. You know, again, as we said, you know, this is not going to be a fluff interview. I believe in climate change. I think it's a problem. Where I'm not sure about is how big of a problem, and I think that's you know, that's where Judith will, I think, be a pretty interesting talk to have. Good day, Prairie.
100%. What's going on, Prairie? Yep. Thanks for joining us again. So yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and that's the whole point, right? We're gonna speak to Judith Curry on Monday. Then we have Dr. Andy Kaufman on Thursday. And you know the video I showed you about, like I sent you from Instagram this morning? The one that talked about the snip, what happened with the consequences. I don't want to go there right now because I don't feel like getting banned again on YouTube. But I'm gonna show him that video to get his reactions, because he's been very outspoken against the Jabberino, and that guy got balls. He don't care, but he's a doctor, so it's hard for us not to listen to what he has to say. So this one too. So guys, Monday we got Judith Curry, and on Thursday we have none other than Dr. Andy Kaufman, which I spoke to before. Fucking awesome dude. No restrictions with that guy. There is nowhere we can't go talking to that guy. So it's going to be for great interviews. So guys, make sure that first join us. Make sure that you're here. But if you have questions about climate change, make sure to send them to us or join us on Monday. We'll take questions 100%. And if you Google, if you don't know who Andy Kaufman is, Google him. I know you'll have questions. So that goes Mondays. I got a feeling is going to be more for the leftists on this show.
Yep.
Friday, the Thursday is going to be more both, because even the people on the right will have questions. But man, don't feel free. Ask us questions. That's why we do it live. We want to hear from you guys. So.
And these guys are both experts, right? Like these aren't just people talking about it, right? So whatever you agree or disagree, you know, you have to at least give them that platform to say their piece. I wonder how are we going to Jason? Good day, sir.
What up, Homo sapiens?
How are we going to do the old dance around the banhammer there with Kaufman?
I'm not sure. You and I will have to sit down and talk, but when I interviewed him, it's on my other show, right? So it's only streamed on X and Rumble, so I'm not worried to get in trouble. We talked about a lot of stuff, but you know, the main thing that I really enjoyed talking about him is the doctor culture of today. Is, you know, we've said that many times in the past, where I don't trust doctors anymore. After what happened in 2020, I simply don't trust them. Like, to me, doctors have become like politicians. They're like, they tend to push what they're being told to push. And this is one of the things that we spoke when he was on my show, is the doctor mindset, how they're not really taught a lot of the things that only make sense. Like, for example, why is it that when you go to a doctor, they never ask you, how are you sleeping? Are you spending time outside? Are you exercising? What are you eating? Like, do you take any vitamins, like vitamin D? It's the winter right now, so do you take vitamin D? Do you take your omegas? Like, tell me more about you and how you treat your body. Do you meditate? Like, what type of TV do you watch?
more
Yeah,
of like
like
a
what
holistic than just jump to the drugs right
100%.
away. Yeah,
So
that'd
what
be
do
a
you
good
watch
conversation.
on TV? Like what do you watch on TV? What do you listen as per music? Like what the type of people that you have surrounding you? And you said a word that I try never to use because there's such a stigma attached to it, but you said holistic. And this
Yeah,
people have this idea that holistic means that you're a dude in sweatpants that's giving medical advice. Holistic does not
yoga and
mean that.
crystals and shit. It
Yeah,
means sorry, you go ahead.
no, but holistic just simply means that you're connecting the mind, the body, and soul.
Yeah,
It's
you're
not
taking
just
everything. Yeah.
it's not just a silo. If you're not sleeping well, chances are that it's not just a physical problem. It could be a mind problem. It could definitely be a spiritual problem. So there's, it takes everything into context and kind of puts it together. This is what holistic actually meant,
Yes,
not the
correct.
bastardized version that mainstream media on both the left and the right are trying to tell us that holistic is. We're not telling you that we're going to blow in your face and you're going to get better. That's not what we're saying.
Rub crystals on your body or something like that. Yeah, that's not it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion to have, I think, because the things you brought up, like how are you sleeping, even who are you spending time with. I feel like a lot of people be like, well, what does the doctor have to do with that? And obviously, the doctor is not going to prescribe friends or anything like that. But I feel like just even asking the question will probably get people starting to think in a holistic way, right? In an idea where you need to think of it big picture, and everything is connected, right? Like one thing I noticed when I came back from Afghanistan in 2007 and started to have some mental health problems. I think most people often think that you have your mental health and your physical health, and they're two separate things. But one thing that became clear to me was just how connected they really are. And even to this day, if I sort of am starting to feel some anxiety or some symptoms of my PTSD, I'll check my routine, and 9 times out of 10, it's like, oh shit, I haven't been to the gym in a week, or I haven't been to the gym in 2 weeks. And then you get back into it and everything clicks. So, I mean, that'll be I think a really interesting conversation to have.
And he's super down to earth. That's what's really cool about him. He's not a pretentious doctor that's like put me on a pedestal. He's like, he wanted me. I'm like, how do I call you, Doctor Mr. Kaufman? He's like, Andy, bro. Like, come on, man.
It's funny when he first said the name, I'm like, Andy Kaufman. Wait a minute, that's the the man on the moon guy, Jim Carrey. He was a comedian from like the 70s.
Oh,
he was famous. Yeah, he was famous for being like sort of like a performative comedian. People didn't really know what he was doing is real or not.
Not the same guy.
Yeah, no, but I thought it was, and I was like, oh shit, Andy Kaufman, he really gets around.
Prairie, by the way, when I say snip snip, I meant job.
Yes, yeah,
not snip snip as in private parts, job as in what you put in your body.
Although Prairie, I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about. I think that's John Money was the doctor there, and yeah, he destroyed that boy's life. He destroyed both of them. I believe they both committed suicide. And the gender ideologists will use that as an example of a success story, and it absolutely was not. I mean, I think that was clear, because he was essentially, just in case the audience isn't sure, I believe there was a botched circumcision when the baby, there was twin boys.
That's it. I think you guys are talking about the same thing, because at one point, I'm pretty sure that's what Prairie wrote. Right at the bottom right here. But look at the no, it literally, stop playing with the comments. Right here, an alleged incident with the circumcision. So I think you guys are talking about the
that's right. And then they said, and so John Money is this sort of like degenerate sort of gender zealot, who was almost just waiting for this opportunity to come to prove his ideas that gender is some separate thing from the physical body. So he said, hey, let's raise him as a girl, everything will be great. And he was he did a big study on it. He I think he got his PhD based on this, and he was lying. He was saying the boy was doing well, the boy was not doing well. They were raising him as a girl. He kept trying to do male behaviors, things like pee standing up. He'd rip his dresses off. And I mean, to me, that proves that they are wrong, because no matter what, like, they raised this boy. He had no reason to think he was a girl, but there was something in him that felt that felt off. And so, you can talk about gender all you want, but the fact of the matter is sex matters. Sex is real. And you can't just throw a dress on a man and especially non-consensually against his will, and tell him he's a girl and expect that to just be hunky-dory.
But she's Prairie's confirming that's exactly what he was talking about. And sorry, Prairie, I imagine that you're a dude, so I'm just calling you
bold of
dude.
you to assume Prairie's gender.
Jason said you have every right to not trust them, referring to doctors. When a government mandates if you speak against the zip, you will lose your license. Yeah, I know what I mean. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my point. This is exactly my point.
To me, that's where the common ground is between, the vax and the pro and the anti, whatever your take. I think everyone should agree that no one should be forcing any people to be taking any type of medicine in order to participate in society. That should just be a blanket sort of value that a society has.
100%. And again, this is the whole point of having Judith Curry, having Andy Kaufman, because both of them get censored all the time because the mainstream narrative don't want to have an opposite view to what they're spreading, right? So
yeah,
it'll make for but be ready, because this is just the beginning. We're gonna book some crazy guests, not crazy guests, as in some awesome guests. So this is just the beginning. You're not just gonna have to stare at us 5 days a week. We're gonna bring some other people that actually sound intelligent. So
that's what we kind of intended the show to be. Is there's going to be obviously a time and place for us to do our thing, but we also do want to have interviews.
Sorry, Prairie. Now I know you're a woman.
XX.
So this is what. Hold on. There's another one from Jason. Then we'll actually get started. 16 minutes in. Look, big pharma calls the shot. Insurance determines the coverage, and politicians determines the protocol. But who is liable? The doctors. This is the flip side to that coin. But at the same time, you know what? I completely agree with you that the doctors are the one that are liable. But at the same time, bro, just like I've said before about cops, it is a job that you're given a certain amount of responsibilities and trust. The public trusts you when you put that uniform on, or when you actually claim, or when you're a doctor. We want to trust you. We kind of put those people on a pedestal. So there's a bunch of responsibilities that comes with it. And you don't get to use that as an excuse. Oh, but they told me to do that. Well, fuck you. Quit your job if you're not happy. What do you think guys like Andy Kaufman did? They actually said, fuck you, we're not doing it. Judith Curry, same thing. She stopped being a professor at Georgia Tech because of the backlash she was getting. She's like, you know what? Fuck you. I quit my job as an engineer because I did not want that clap in my body. So don't give me this is the only thing. It's not because if you have a lot of responsibilities, fucking deal with it. If I could do it, if Judith Curry could do it, if Andy Kaufman did it, so can you. Don't use that as a fucking excuse.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Damn.
And I mean, it's like what's that saying from Spider-Man, right? With great power comes great responsibility. These people are put on a pedestal, and they get there's certainly perks to that, right? They get a lot of status, a lot of respect in society. Term. Yeah, but with that comes responsibility.
But status is bang on. Great word. Great. That is the exact thing I was going for. So good for you. Now, before we get started, 17, 18, 19 minutes in, let me ask you guys a question. Do you think that it is still possible to defend USAID? With everything that's coming out, and the next video I got a bunch of videos for you guys. We're gonna go funny, very serious, then what the fuck are those people talking about? And we have a bunch of videos that are gonna show our point. But is it still possible, with all the crap that's coming out right now that Dodge is actually uncovering, is it still possible for you to trust USAID and say that it's a good program that should continue? That's the question we have for you today.
Yeah, I mean, it's Certainly, I mean, I think my take is more along lines of, babies and bathwater, right? You don't need to throw out the baby with the bathwater. I mean, if we cut down to the core mission of USAID, first of all, I think it should be it should essentially be there is a role for government to have some aspect of putting money around the world, but it should be in direct support of that country's interests, right? It shouldn't be to spread ideologies. If you think that it helps your strategic position to build a dam in fucking Swaziland or something, then maybe there's a role for that. But what you really don't like to be teaching Bangladeshis not to shit in the streets, or teaching people in Africa, fucking spending like $40 million to teach them, I don't know, how to put a condom on or something. I think that's ridiculous and nonsense, and it doesn't need to happen.
This is where you and I completely disagree. I don't see, as a Canadian or as a guy that spent a lot of time in the US, I don't want us to get involved in other people's shit. You know what? We have so much shit to take care of right here in North America. Why the fuck are we getting involved in other people's bullshit?
That's valid. I mean,
and
I
will, but I always go back to the same argument. What do they tell you in planes? Put the mask on yourself first, then put the mask on your kids. Why? Because if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to die. Your kids will die. And it's the same thing. And even let's say that this was all legit, all great stuff that they were doing, that somebody on using morals could explain. That's not what we're seeing. So I'm not saying, like, to me, I would fucking disband USAID from the get-go, because as RFK said in the past, it was his father that started this shit back in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. And it is not what it was supposed to be. So this is the thing, right? 50 years later, we're not seeing what it was intended to be. And we're seeing that a lot of it was used for slush funds. Like, it's hard to disagree that people didn't get fucking rich off of that program. So to me, if
politically connected elites.
Yeah, it's just that I think with a program that costs so much money, it's time to destroy it and rebuild it. Not
now. So do you think that we should replace it with something else?
No, until
just get rid of.
It's the same thing. Like, I'll give you another example of how I see this. It's the same thing as, the abortion argument. I'm not going to debate people on this show about abortion. I understand it. I'm against it, but that's my personal view. But at the same time, I think that instead of debating abortions, we should debate why is it so fucking hard to adopt kids in North America. There are more parents looking to adopt right now than kids available for adoption, yet we make it so difficult in both Canada and the US that most parents look overseas. That's my point, right? So let's look at USAID from a logical standpoint and just say, fuck you, we're done. And let's see where we can actually help Americans. And if there's still money left, let's help others. So, hey, see, it's even worse than I thought. So as per Jason, we're looking at the 1960s, and I think you're absolutely right, Jason, that JFK didn't even die in the 70s. It was in the 60s, so it's fucking 60 years ago. 63, so you're literally talking 63, 62 years ago. So that's been going on for a long time, but it doesn't seem that it's evolved from what the main idea was in the first place. The money we spent on Ukraine could have ended homelessness. See, and this is my point. And I don't just say, don't send money to Ukraine. Don't send money to Ukraine. Don't send money to Israel. Don't send money to anywhere. Fuck that noise. Cut all that shit. Take care of your people. And once that's done, like, one of the people that I have a really soft spot for are vets. I have a vet. My family's all military. I have so many friends that are vets in Canada, in the US. You're a vet. And they always seem to be shit on. In Canada, fucking Trudeau said, oh, we don't have that money right now. You fucking kidding me? You're sending tens of billions of dollars overseas, but you're not going to fucking protect and help the people that protected your country? Go fuck yourself, asshole. This is what I'm tired of. I'm tired of us telling our own people, you know what? Sorry, can't help you, while they're fucking shelling money like it's just a commodity to other countries. So fuck you. Like it's time. This shit needs to stop. This is why USAID is just showing how corrupt we've become, and they don't really give a fuck. This is what the biggest thing that USAID is showing to me is that people don't care. Like politicians, left and right, don't really give that much of a fuck. Because if you've allowed this, because this was happening under Trump the first time too. This was, if it was done in the 60s, that means that the Bush family, both the son and the father, they continued this crap. Do you know what I mean? Like, for how long has this been? So it's not even a political problem. It's not left versus right. It's just people took advantage of a system that was meant to help and fucking cash the money. This is what we're learning.
Yeah. And it's funny, even if you're like the biggest bleeding heart liberal in the world and you think, you know, you want everyone in the world to be better off and do lots of nice things, you could make the case that by America just not spending any money anywhere else in the world, and sort of then the world will benefit, right? Because it's not like America's going around spreading peace, right? Like, you know, ask people in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Vietnam, you know, how they feel about all the US aid that they got, you know? So, I mean, sure, I have no doubt that some of those dollars probably have helped some people, but just with those dollars comes American involvement too. And broadly speaking, I bet you far more people have been hurt across the world by American involvement in their local politics than have been helped.
And see, Jason, our friend of the show, that's always there. We're always happy to have you on, bro. But he's an ex-military guy too. He's a vet. And he's saying when it comes to going to war, they never ask how they're going to pay for it. But when it comes to taking care of our people when they get back, angering. And this is exactly my fucking point. I'm tired of the hypocrisy from both the left and the right, because I don't consider what Doge is doing right now to be a right or left thing. It's just it needs to be done. They're doing it. It happens that it's a Republican Party that's doing it. And but I will say this though, as you'll see in the next video, I don't see a lot of people on the right or even people in the middle trying to defend USAID. All I'm seeing right now is leftists trying to defend it, and it's getting harder and
that
harder.
Feels partisan. Just causes
hold on.
Doing it, right?
Like, and this is the way I see it too, because it's Trump. And if this would have been Bernie Sanders doing this, oh Jesus, everybody would be happy.
Guy.
But check this video out. This is from Rachel Maddow Rachel Maddow from yesterday night, as she's trying to defend USAID. And tell me this is not a cringe video. Like, you know what? I'll stop it right there. I'll play the video.
So that's what we were talking about last night at the top of the show. And then just as we were going off the air at the end of the show last night, the Trump administration ran to the U.S. Supreme Court. And just before we went off the air, just before the end of last night's show, the Trump administration obtained an order from the Supreme Court saving them from that midnight deadline. Right? So they're less than 3 hours away from that deadline. And the Supreme Court at the very last second steps in and says, no, Trump administration, you don't have to release that funding by midnight after all. And we want briefing on this by noon on Friday.
Before I continue, I haven't got an update on this yet. Like, I didn't see anything in the news talking about this. Right now, Trump is meeting with Zelensky. That's all I know. So we don't have an update on what she's talking about, but it is true that yesterday they pushed it. Yesterday was supposed to be the end of, because there's a judge that said he wanted to freeze and say, yeah, no, you don't get to do that. We don't know what's going to happen, but this is where it gets very interesting. Where she goes with this is fucking cringe.
So we'll see what happens by noon on Friday, by tomorrow noon at the U.S. Supreme Court. But
this was yesterday night, by the way.
Intervention, that USAID funding did not start flowing last night at midnight. And this confrontation and this series of events raises like a whole Niagara Falls of issues and consequences. I mean, first of all, and most importantly, is the substance of it, right? I mean, what's that funding for? Well, among other things, it's for the magnificently successful, world-renowned U.S. AIDS treatment programs that have been interrupted. That puts tens of millions of lives at risk, with that funding not flowing, those programs aren't restarting. The new work that is
it
not
America's
being done
responsibility, though?
because that.
Thank you for getting to my point. This is where I was going with this, but it gets worse. Like, this is almost the best argument she makes, and it's really weak.
Funding hasn't restarted includes little things like, I don't know, work on the previously unknown brand new hemorrhagic fever that has just broken out in Congo. It killed 3 little kids in Congo over the course of 3 days, and then immediately within like 10 more days, the death toll was 53. And now it's in at least 2 different locations in Congo. And they don't know what it is or how it spreads. It is a disease they have never seen before. It does seem to have an alarmingly high death rate, something like a 12% death rate, which for a hemorrhagic fever, an infectious disease, is a massive death rate. And even scarier than that, those it kills, it seems to kill within 48 hours. Right? This is bad. An outbreak spreading fast.
She's really reaching here.
But that's my point, right? She is grasping at straws, like, ah!
Like,
how the fuck is this the U.S.'s responsibility to deal with Congo? Like, why?
With this logic, like, even if they turn the, like, fully funded everything, there's got to be more bad things in the world, and then be like, well, I mean, why isn't America doing this? Like, that's weak. That is really weak.
But you know what's weaker is that she has a $25 million contract over 5 years, and in a month and a half, it's going to go back to 1 episode a week. She will be making $5 million a week to record 1 fucking show a week. I don't see that woman in the Congo trying to save people, but yet taxpayers' money should go there. Like, fuck you. If you want to be almighty, how about you maybe act on it, maybe take it upon yourself to do something?
I mean, like, America's just a country. They're not like a special, they're not like the god of the world. It's not their job to do all these things. Like, if they want to do things to help out and fund things, and I would argue that America's been quite generous over the past 70 years. And for sure, there's often strings attached, and they have their own agenda too. But if they choose not to do that, that's perfectly within their rights. Like, America should really be focusing on American interests, just like Canadian leaders should be focusing on Canadian interests. And Congo,
how dare you? Why are you so racist? Why do you hate people from the Congo? Why are you so racist?
If there's a major virus that's coming out, like, that's not really USAID's wheelhouse anyways. Like, there are agencies for that,
Yeah, like Bill Gates will take care of it.
I mean, it's just,
that's a joke for the people just listening to this. That's a joke. That's a fucking joke.
Ask Bill Gates to just turn the tabs, please stop spreading that virus over there. And he's like, oh yeah, sure.
YouTube.
Yes, this is a joke.
YouTube. This is a joke. This is satire. Bill Gates is the greatest man alive, and everything that he says, he's right. And we should eat bugs.
Except for Bill Gates. He's earned meat. Lots of meat.
His fat ass needs to be on a diet. And if it's a
bug
diet, it should. He's all belly, bro. He's like, he has the epitome of a dad bod. Like, no shoulders, no legs, no arms, and he's all titties and stomach. So
and yet he still gets probably solid 10s if he wants to.
From both sexes. Whatever floats his boat, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Prairie is saying, I think she meant, oh, fuck her.
Yeah, so, talking about Rachel.
Oh, no, it was sarcastic. And yes, I agree, it's fair mongering, but it's not finished. Like, the video is just halfway through. But I will still take some comments. And Jason is saying, so now the Democrats care about brown people. By the way, guess who was giving experimental medicine to Africans in the last 4 years? Not Bill Gates. Jason, this is not true. Don't spread lies like that, Jason. We all know that this is incorrect. But
just back to Maddow, though, I don't understand that whole mindset. Like, if America did want to be generous in the past, that was great, and they should be celebrated or praised or what have you. But to then, withdraw some of the funding does not mean they're evil or anything. Where are the other countries? Like, does any other country have a responsibility besides America? And the fact of the matter is, you know, you're cherry picking maybe some, like, I'm sure there are some things that USAID has spent money on that were, you know, good to do, like that had value, but you can't just ignore all the other fucking,
well,
you know,
as you'll see in the next video. No, but as you'll see and the video you sent me,
yes, exactly.
This video is so this is the point, right? I just want to show what the woke left is still grasping at. We'll finish the video, then we'll show you the testimonies, the bombshell testimonies that came out yesterday, and
That's
say,
crazy, that video.
What the fuck is going on? So
that shows the other side of the coin of what USAID is doing.
And this is my point. This is exactly my point. This is why when I found that video, I'm like, this is perfect to explain the narrative that they're still talking about. Yet she has, this is why I keep on repeating how paid she is, because if she's paid $5 million a year, can you imagine the amount of people that worked on her show? There's probably more than 100 people that work on that fucking show. So don't tell me that she doesn't. If you and I can do research by ourselves, imagine what her team can actually do. And they never talk about that aspect of things. They never go there, which is where the bullshit is, right?
It's not ignorant.
Oh, they're pushing an agenda, and Rob and I are definitely not. We'll make fun of the left, we'll make fun of the right, and today we're going to make fun of the right because we're going to talk about the Epstein files after this, and I want to show you a video I found. So don't think that I only bash on the lefties. I bash on fucking everybody, because if you're full of shit, you're full of shit. I really don't care which side of the fence you sit on. Don't care. So let's finish this this woman. She's a woman, right?
Undiscovered, unknown hemorrhagic fever that is already killing humans by the dozens.
The dozens?
That's the kind of thing that United States global health programs would be all over, usually, to identify this thing, to contain it, to treat people and keep them alive, to stop this thing from spreading, among other things, to make sure that it does not come here to the United States.
That worked so well in 2020.
I mean, and it's just, if there's a legitimate threat of something like that, that is not going to be USAID stopping that. It'll probably be the U.S. military. You know what I mean? Like there are, if you imagine a scenario where there was, let's say there was an Ebola type virus that got there, like USAID is not stopping that. You know what I mean? And if Rachel feels that strongly about it, no, it isn't. If Rachel feels that strongly about it, I mean, she got paid $25 million. I'm sure that goes a long way to fund quarantine centers in Congo.
But we're not doing the foreign aid funding anymore. Stopping USAID means stopping efforts to combat things like that. It also means, you know, stopping America's traditional and leading and totally irreplaceable work to help and contain the damage when not just hemorrhagic fevers break out, like Ebola in Uganda and Marburg in Tanzania, both of which are happening right now, but also to stop things like tuberculosis and malaria.
I mean,
domestically,
like, it's just you can, to the extent that there might ever be an argument there. I think she just hit on it, but it's still a really, really weak one. It essentially boils down to, but this is just what America does. We've always done this. And, you know, that's fine, but things change, right? And at the end of the day, those are political decisions. And that's why we have elections in a democracy. And if Donald Trump, as the politician who is spearheading this, if his supporters, the ones who elected him, don't like what he's doing, then he will be penalized for that. That is also how democracy works. You know, to just kind of sit on the sidelines and act as if this is some unprecedented disaster is just, it's nonsense.
And you know, the thing I find very funny from all of this is not only that, but it's the fact that she never talks about the other side. She never talks about what we're going to talk afterwards. Like she's making it sound like nobody in the US has profited from this. People in politics have not taken advantage of that money, that those should not be doing what they're doing. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And this is where, if I remember correctly, the video becomes political. Like,
Yes.
this is where she's presenting it like she's trying to be all emotional on TV, and she's moving like, I'm your auntie that knows what I'm talking about. You should trust me. And then she makes it about politics. So this is clearly an attack at those because it's Republican, because
Yeah,
the
oh, of
Democrats
course.
didn't
And that's
fucking think about
essentially,
doing that. Of
and that's the whole
course.
thing, right?
Yeah.
And now, if it was a Democrat doing this, Maddaw would be telling the stories of the other side that we were going to show in a minute. She'd be saying, "Oh, it's a good thing because look at all the terrible things that money is being spent on." It's just partisanship, at its worst, and people are really sick of it.
Here in this country, this confrontation, this drama
There
with
you
the
go.
Supreme Court getting involved means that we are about to have the U.S. Supreme Court meaningfully weigh in on this sledgehammer that Trump and his top campaign donor have taken to the U.S. government thus far, with no seeming regard for either the law or the Constitution. So we will see.
They keep on saying that,
Yet Constitution.
they cannot name one law that he broke, that Dodge is broken, that is breaking right now, and they cannot tell me what part of the Constitution, which amendment are they breaking. And I have another video afterwards because Scott Jennings is that. Oh,
that was
I fucking love Scott Jennings. He's just like, oh, please explain to me.
Right? Yeah, no, that was a good one. I think Scott Jennings, he's really holding his own on those roundtables, because it's him against all of them. He's just like Neo there, sort of casually dodging the bullets while all the 1,000 Mr. Smiths are coming in, and he's just like, boop, boop, boop. It's pretty funny to watch.
That's actually a great analogy. Good for you. You slept well last night.
Yeah, I'm on fire tonight. I'm on my A game.
Jesus, maybe you should stop talking so you don't fuck it up, because it's been great up to now, bro.
Yeah, just quit while I'm ahead.
Probably for the first time, how the Supreme Court is oriented toward this radical change that has happened over the last 5.5 weeks in our country. And honestly, this is also important because of the way this came up. That midnight deadline we were looking at last night was set so firmly and so urgently by the federal judge who was hearing this case, because he had to do it by motion to enforce. He had to do a motion to enforce because Trump really was ignoring that court's previous orders. Right?
How did he ignore it? Again, do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you start looking at history, do you know how many times Biden complained about what the judges were doing? This is what they do. This is the whole point of the system. That's the whole point. The judges don't always go for the president. Sometimes they do in their favor. Sometimes they don't. But they weren't complaining like that when Biden was getting. See, this is my point. This is the hypocrisy. Like,
people are
take your head out of your ass and stop acting like a victim. Like, cry me a fucking river.
Could you imagine a primetime show like on a mainstream media network like this one, where people are, have their biases and they'll be open about that, but they're just calling balls and strikes. Like they're gonna criticize either side where it's necessary, instead of this just partisan cheerleading. It's exhausting, and nobody wants it anymore. Just to what you were saying a minute ago about the Constitution, I think that's the tell there, right? Because they always say, oh, it's against the Constitution. But if it was, then they would say specifically what part, right? Because you'd be like, it's against section 8.2 of the Constitution or whatever the fuck, right? So, I mean, it's just a generically, and I think, we'll see in the Jennings video, it's exactly what, they're all just stumbling and bumbling around. Well, he's just there casually.
5 against 1. 5 against 1, and he's making them all look fucking stupid. I'm a big fan. I'm becoming a big fan of Scott Jennings. Like, the way he handles himself, like, it's the way he handles being on a panel with 4, 5, 6 lefties. And he's just like, oh, really? Please explain to me. I really enjoyed this conversation. Please tell me exactly what you mean.
Well, and what you sort of hit on the head there is that it's easy to win arguments when you're right. You know what I mean? When you've got when you've got common sense behind you, it's really easy. He's not even breaking a sweat, and he's just making mincemeat of these guys, and they're stumbling around looking like idiots because they are not right. They are incorrect. They are wrong. Now, I can remember Scott Jennings from back in 2016, 2017, and he had a completely different demeanor. He seemed to always be stumbling around, and because he often was put in the place of having to defend the indefensible. With a lot of, Trump he's still Trump, but he's certainly a lot more polished. He hasn't made a lot of unforced errors in the way he used to all the time back then. And Jennings, and it's just funny to see the difference, because now when you've sort of got the moral imperative behind you, and you're just, you've got that righteous anger, it doesn't even come off as anger. He's just winning arguments, and it's pretty obvious to see that on these issues so far, he's on the right side.
And so when we look to see how the Supreme Court handles this tomorrow at noon, we're going to be looking to see how the Supreme Court handles that very scary issue. How this Supreme Court is going to treat the prospect of this president, this administration, potentially ignoring the courts.
See see how much bullshit. She's like Kamala Harris's word salads. She has said nothing. Let's see how the court handles this president and the court. What the fuck are you saying? She's grasping so hard that she can't even, I don't even think she believes what she's saying. I think they're being told to, let's try to sensationalize this. Let's make it awesome. Let's make it sound alarming. She can't even fucking sell what she believes in. Like what
would be very effective for her would be to say Donald Trump is breaking the Constitution or the law, and here's the law, and show the exact law. Happen. Read out the law, then show the viewers exactly what's going on. It's really easy to do if he actually is. You know what I mean? But now it's just generic. Yeah, and it's I feel like the things that worked for these people over the last 20 years
not working no more.
No, exactly. And it's because of people like us and people that watch the show and all kinds of people who are just calling bullshit in a way that I don't think has happened over the last 20 years.
I agree. So which one do you want to go first? Do we go the other side of the equation, or do you want to show Scott Jennings first?
No, let's do the other side, because we've got Matt talking about all the amazing things that USAID did and how Trump is a terrible person. It's almost like your attitude is like, if a child dies anywhere in the world, that's America's
fault. It's the US's response. Yeah.
It's nonsense.
So this, to give it a bit of context,
gentleman from
hold on,
Tennessee.
I'm just going to pause it. So to give a bit of context, this were hearings about USAID. Doge has uncovered some really fucked up shit. And I got a post, the post that you sent me. I have it open behind this. So I will read the bullet points afterwards just to put it into perspective. But just to say, as the title says at the bottom, House Doge Committee holds hearing on the use of U.S. foreign aid. So USAID funding, what it's been funding over the past few years. And this, as an American, if this doesn't fucking piss you off, if this doesn't make you bald from ripping your hair out, I don't know what will.
Well, and this is the other side of the coin to what Matt Madoff was talking about.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if you want to have credibility, if you want to be taken seriously as a serious person, you may still think that what Musk is doing is bad and that USAID is good, but you cannot ignore what we're about to hear. You cannot pretend like that is not happening, or because one thing that stood out to me is like, there's none of this, like, we'll see. I don't want to give it away, but he asked a question at the very beginning, and he's like, is America spending money on this? And you might think normally in these hearings, like the guy being answered like, well, no, it's not. It's complicated or whatever. He says, yes, we are. And it's like, what? Like, it's no secret. And I guess, we'll get to it in a second, but it's going to blow your mind.
Recognize the gentleman from Tennessee, Mr. Burchett, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair Lady. Mr. Roman, are you aware that we are sending $40 million a week to the Taliban?
Yes, sir.
For fuck's sake.
Can you name other instances?
Did you guys hear what he just said? Are you aware that we are sending $40 million a week to the Taliban. Let me just I'll play it again because this one, as you said, this one's fucking worth it. This is how the video starts.
Roman, are you aware that we are sending $40 million a week to the Taliban?
Yes, sir.
So
not excuse. You know, normally they always go, well, they try. Yes, sir.
Yes. And it's like, okay, mate, spare me your fucking crocodile tears. This is the Taliban who very recently has made it illegal for women to laugh in public. They are not allowed to leave their house. They are literal legal property of the men in their lives. First their father, and then the husband, whoever their father tells them to marry. Some of these women are young girls are 9 years old, being married off to adult men to settle their father's debts. And this is, they're giving $40 million a week. I don't care what the context is. There is no context that makes that okay. So if you're going to go on about the poor Congolese kids who are dying and all the good things that USAID is doing, but you ignore all the evil things. Yeah, then you're not a serious person, and I'm not interested in your opinion on this topic.
Can you name other instances of foreign aid going to terrorist organizations?
We have assisted al-Shabaab in Somalia. There's been instances of the Khamsi network in Sudan, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, Kataib al-Hezbollah, Hayat Tahrir al-Shams in Syria. Dozens of terror organizations have received indirect assistance from U.S. foreign aid.
11. Is that what he just said? That's what I heard, right?
Yeah.
11.
I think he said a dozen, or at least a dozen.
A dozen terrorist organizations that have killed Americans, that have killed allies, are receiving money from USAID indirectly.
So
are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, where's Matt on this one? Because I mean, you can't just pretend that this isn't happening. Yeah, I mean, as Jason says.
Hold on. This is no, but let me,
all right,
so we can see it properly.
What?
Yeah. What? Oh, wait, what? I'm trying to make it sound like him, like, wait, what? $40 million a week to the Taliban. $40 million a week. And by the way, I don't care if you treat your women like gold.
For sure.
Her vagina are 8 miles wide. What the fuck? Agreed, bro. What the fuck? Indeed.
I'd like to know the context of that. Like, how does that happen? Did they just make a deal with them? And even if they did, why are we even honoring deals made with the fucking Taliban? I don't understand that.
But it gets worse. There's another issue that's really bad in this. So let's continue the video.
Could you elaborate a little bit on the mechanisms in place that are to stop foreign aid from going to terrorist groups, and why are they not working if we have any in place? Sure. And I would note that these are, you notice these are terrorist weaponry. You see some AKs, SKSs, some snipers, some clips, some.
If you're listening to this right now, you're not watching the video. I'm just going to describe what you're seeing here. You literally have guns, grenades, you have ammunition, and in the middle, there's a box that says USAID, as in, hey, Amazon has just delivered your package.
Yeah.
Can you give us a good review? Like, are you fucking kidding me? And by the way, sir, it's not clips. They're called magazines. Man, that drives me nuts. It's not a clip. We're not in the 1920s. They're detachable magazines.
Yes, that is correct.
Thanks, bro.
Equally outrageous for sure.
Yeah. But you know what? Maybe we're sending them old school guns, so they actually still.
Oh, the joke's on them. They're getting, they're getting last year's weapons. Fucking idiots.
Carriers probably made in China, and I believe these are small landmines here beside right there.
They're only small.
Let's use Gaza as our case.
Oh, so sorry. I thought they were big grenades. So there you go. Here I stand corrected. They're fucking landmines. They're small even fucking work like. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
they came with us in a small box. They're small landmines.
Like Bernie's. It only took $2 million from Big Pharma. These are only the small. We only sell
$2.1 billion in American taxpayers' money to Gaza since October 7th, when Hamas invaded southern Israel. USAID money was going in terms of an emergency use authorization to try to go to parties that USAID formerly.
Did you hear what he just said?
Yes.
I just want to rephrase because we
Yeah,
were both
let's play that
laughing during
again.
this.
Let's play that again.
This is the part that pisses me off the most, I think, about this video right here.
Study $2.1 billion in American taxpayers' money to Gaza since October 7th when Hamas invaded southern Israel.
2.1
US
billion.
$2.1 billion has been sent to Hamas after the October 7th attack. That is what he just said.
Burn it the fuck down, man. Like, Hamas is a terrorist organization according to the US government. Why? How is, like, this isn't just falling through the cracks. This is there's not even a fucking floor there. Like, what is going on? And
there's not even a floor there.
No, and Madoff,
Jesus, bro.
I'm on fire
You're
today.
You're on fucking fire today, bro.
But fucking Madoff's over here going on about fucking, well, there's a Congolese guy, a kid that got sick. Well, yeah, kids get sick and die all the time. Obviously, it's a tragedy, but like, look at what you're doing here. This is, I guarantee you, there's far more misery and suffering and death caused by the money that USAID is sending than the help is getting out there. Like the negative far outweighs the positive here.
And not only that, but remember, those organizations kill Americans. They kill their allies.
Yep.
So you're literally, the US is funding the death of US military.
I would love
That's
them.
basically what he's fucking saying. And
I would love them to.
You need to explain to me what that means. F whoosh. Is it fucking whoosh or
Whoosh.
Whoosh. Okay, I'm not that cool. I'm just a white guy from Alabama. I'm not that cool.
Yeah, we can't do that. But
fucking, I like the fucking whoosh way better though.
I'd like to see them bring some people from USAID, you know, from the last administration, and grill some of these people. Like, what is your explanation?
It's coming,
this?
Bro.
Okay.
It has to be coming. This has to be coming. It needs to be the next step. They wouldn't show us all those videos if they're not planning to hold people accountable.
Okay.
At least that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, you might be right. Hopefully they've got a plan.
We'll keep an eye on it. It's not part. When I say it's coming, it's not on that video. That's not what I meant. Just to clarify.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, if they're showing us these type of videos, if that's what the House committees are talking about, it has to be the next step. Because if this, as an American, if this doesn't fucking piss you off,
that's your tax dollars, man. I'm not. Like, we're not American, and it pisses us off.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. You literally funded organization that kills Americans. Please tell me how that makes fucking sense. And $40 million per week to the Taliban's, $2.1 billion to Hamas since the October 7th. Not what happened before, since the October 7th attack. That is what they just said.
On the other hand, public defecation in Bangladesh is down 7%. So, you know, same, right? They even out. That's what Madoff will say.
USAID money was going in terms of an emergency use authorization to try to go to parties that USAID formerly had a relationship with in the Gaza Strip. They had to have been vetted by OFAC. They should have been vetted against the special designated terror list from the State Department and from other Treasury organizations. Waivers were granted because they said that there was an emergency use to have that money come in to Gaza, thereby jettisoning the usual typical screening procedures. As a result, 90% of aid that was going from the United States by way of its agents in Gaza ended up in Hamas-controlled areas. And this is...
So I just want to make sure you guys heard this. 90% of the 2.1 million that was sent to Gaza ended up in territories that were controlled by Hamas. So obviously we know where that money went. But he's also saying that all the actual procedures that they normally have in place to vet people to make sure that they are not terrorist organizations were bypassed because it was an emergency. They always use that fucking term.
Everything's an emergency, eh?
But did you notice this is how Canada became a dictatorship? Because they put, oh, it's an emergency. It's always emergency. They put the word, they have an emergency word. Everything's bypassed. Don't worry about it. Don't ask too many questions. Shut the fuck up and just sign the check.
Well, I mean, let me tell you, like, I'm a liberal, I'm a progressive, been so my whole life. And if I'm getting radicalized by this shit, like they really need to be worried, right? Because there's, I'm pretty much middle of the road, moderate lefty. There's a whole fucking lot of people out there like me. Obviously the right's already radicalized against this shit, but if you're losing half the left too, like there's a shitstorm coming. There's a major reckoning coming. At least I hope there is. I think there has to be. For all of this, just the corruption. I feel like it's so ingrained. It's almost hiding in plain sight. You know what I mean? You almost don't even see it. It's like a fucking fish in water. Probably doesn't even feel the water. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like. But sunlight's the best disinfectant. And once it comes out, all of it, people are gonna be furious.
It's ridiculous. Essentially, what the U.S. assistance to Gaza did was underwrite the ability for Hamas to survive until the ceasefire was just passed a few weeks ago. There was no strategic thought for it, and there was no screening.
Seems like the emergency might have been armed terrorists to kill civilians. Would that be accurate?
That's accurate, and even more than that, Samantha Powers, the administrator for USAID, was intent on having Israel not be able to defend itself.
To not be able to defend it.
Correct.
These fucking people, man.
Mr. Primorak, is that correct? How do you say that? Primorak? I got Burchett, man. Nobody gets mine right, so don't worry about it. What is it, Primorak?
Perfect.
All right, thanks, brother. How did terrorists exploit our foreign aid loopholes?
Just before he continues, I just like the way, is that how you pronounce your name? Perfect. Okay, thanks, brother. I say brother all the time. I kind of like that.
That's cool.
And before I continue the video, I'm just gonna show what Jason is saying because he's bang on. Jason is saying Rob is 40% of the American population, enough to make your own party.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I've got some ideas and some theories. I don't go too much in depth on this show because it's not really meant to be about the left. It's sort of that centrist middle. But I do believe that there's been a schism in the left over the last 2 to 3 years. I believe that there's been a major political shift. And I think that there's a new and distinct political bloc that is on the left has been created. And I think, honestly, a lot of people in the bloc probably don't even know that they're in it yet. But over the next couple years, it's going to get more and more defined. I think a lot of these people just think, I don't feel good as a liberal right now. I don't feel good on the left. But once it gets more and more defined, and just, we talked about this with Bernier, but I think a very simplified way to understand this group is people who are liberals and progressives, have been their entire lives, and probably still more or less agree with most positions on the left, except for 3 main issues. One would be gender ideology. 2 would be identity politics and the way it's proliferated within society. And 3 is immigration. And these differences are so far that these people on this new political bloc on the left, they won't vote for people on the left anymore. And I think that's why Kamala, one of the reasons Kamala lost, she got 7 million less votes than Biden did. Trump got about the same in 2020. So where did those 7 million votes go? They didn't go to Trump. That is this new bloc who's just sitting out. They're like, it's like Jason said, I didn't want Trump to win, but I'm so glad Kamala lost. And I think that's what these people feel. Yeah, I think.
And hopefully, sorry, no, go ahead. Sorry.
I just I was just finishing up. I was going to say, I think a lot of these people are going to sort of make themselves known over the next couple of years. And the left is going to have to either come back to sanity or just a new party will rise up, because the Democrats right now are in the wilderness, and I don't know that they're going to get back.
And I hope this happens in Canada too, because we need this in Canada even more than Americans needed it. Because there was still a lot more sanity in the US, even with Joe Biden at the helm. In Canada is just so far fucking gone right now. I'm really hoping that this type of leadership that's happening in the US right now, this type of culture vibe switch that we talk about all the time, is going to inspire Canadians to say, yeah, boy, there's really something wrong going on in Canada.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I just want to touch on what Jason said here. Yeah, for sure. We are talking about Hamas, the people of Gaza.
You need to read the comment. If you're going to put it out there, read it, because there's people that are not watching the video.
All right. So Jason says he's not talking about the people of Gaza. He's talking about Hamas, who is getting all this money. And that's correct. This is going to Hamas, but that's why, any aid given to Gaza is going to end up in the pockets of Hamas and is not going to be given to the people of Gaza. And to me, the best thing you can do for the people of Gaza is to get rid of Hamas. They are a parasite on the Palestinian people.
I agree with you, man. That one we definitely agree on.
Well, we have a lot of our
Can
international.
you pull your mic up? I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You have international NGOs and UN agencies actively lobby here in Washington, D.C. against vetting policies that would prevent it. I was the senior vetting officer at USAID, and what
Hold on
we
a second. Did you say United Nations is doing this? The UN?
Sure, everybody who's getting money lobbies here.
That they're lobbying against us. I'm sorry, Mr. Roman.
There's actually someone who used to work for one of those lobbies, the largest NGO lobby, Interaction. One of our co-witnesses here worked for them from 2018 to 2023. USAID effectively self-funds its own external private lobby that then goes back to Congress and asks for more money for USAID.
Did you guys just hear that? Through NGOs, USAID is creating their non-governmental organization,
even though they are a government.
Funds a non-governmental organization through government funds to then use it and funnel it back to lobbying the US Congress for more money to go into USAID. This is what the guy just said. And we're talking about a guy that was at the head of that department. Are you fucking kidding me?
And
are you fucking kidding me?
It's insane. And I think what he's talking about there is a glimpse into the grift. And it's a big fucking grift. It may go down as one of the biggest single sort of grifts, political scandals. Right now, people aren't talking about it like that, right? It's still just cutting, general corruption and blah, 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 as opposed to a concerted, multi-decade what seems to be some sort of left-wing slush fund where, essentially organizations like USAID will give NGOs money to go back to the government and ask for more money. And of course, a kickback will go to USAID. It stinks from top to bottom. And anybody who looks at this and says, oh yeah, but what about the kids in Congo? I'm sorry, you're not a serious person. Like, yes, that is a tragedy and that's terrible, but it is not the United States' responsibility to take care of every single sick kid. And considering all the harm that's being done by this money, as we can see, it doesn't even come close.
So the taxpayers fund this lobbyist who's working against American interests.
Correct.
Possibly killing our allies and possibly Americans.
They bring together groups in Washington that overseas work with groups that kill Americans.
Yeah, I don't need a flow chart to show that. I appreciate it.
This part, I just want to replay what that guy, because if there's one thing that should piss you off in this whole video is what that guy just said there.
In Washington that overseas work with groups that kill Americans.
Yeah, I don't need a flow chart to show that. I appreciate it. Do you think USAID programs have been aligned with the national security interests of the U.S.?
No, they have not. They have actually helped.
He literally just said that USAID does not align with American interest and security interests. Not only do they not align, but they might have killed
actively.
They might have, like, again, I cannot stress this enough, how this video is bombshell after bombshell after bombshell after bombshell. If you guys don't realize what they're saying, they're literally telling you that your money, your taxpayers' money, the money that the government takes away from you, that you've worked hard for, that should be there to take care of your family, is funding organizations, terrorist organizations that have killed Americans. This is where your fucking money is going. And that same department, the USAID department, has created NGOs that is then funneling money through lobby group in the US that is lobbying Congress to get more money. That's what those guys are telling you.
And if you have a problem with that, with your tax dollars going to all that, Rachel Maddow, who is essentially the face of left-wing journalism today, will call you a bad person. will point out the one or two examples of someone who was helped by it. And it's man, it's a tough time to be a liberal. I'm telling you that.
To China.
Mr. Roman?
No.
Okay. How do these programs compromise our national security, Mr. Premack?
They actually push China. They actually push much of the world towards China on the green energy agenda. They push people, ordinary people, billions of people towards China because of the resentment caused by our social reengineering.
Are we being lobbied by these pro-communist China groups currently?
Well, a lot of these countries don't even have to lobby because they get the money anyway, like South Africa.
Yeah, and in fact, these lobbyists have come to the House and have tried to kill legislation like H.R. 160, which was meant to increase transparency in USAID's funding of overseas organizations.
Is that a current piece of legislation?
That's from the last session.
And give me that number again.
H.R. 160.
And what does it do?
It was meant to give U.S. lawmakers the ability to have higher transparency in terror financing investigations aimed at scrutinizing extremist groups.
Mr. Premack?
We had a regulation before we left in the last administration that anybody who touches money in countries where there's terrorists, those names have to go through databases, terrorist databases. That was overturned by Biden.
Overturned by Biden.
Why would you overturn that?
Chair Lady, I am.
Like, it's one thing to say, maybe you could have some sort of leg to stand, and I don't even think this would be a strong argument, but maybe you could try to say U.S. government's a huge place, things fall between the cracks, but Biden's proactively doing something. He had to make that decision to overturn that, and the question will be why. Like, I'm a pretty open-minded person. I try to see things from different angles. I can't fathom any possible benefit to this. Like I'm bamboozled.
No legitimate.
I'm flummoxed.
It's hard to imagine any real legal reason why they did that. It's very easy for us to look at this and say slush funds, corruption, slush funds. Like, what else is there? Like, you can argue with me until you're blue in the face, but let's be real here. Why would a government entity, the USAID, funnel money to terrorist groups that have killed Americans, that creates NGOs to refunnel money back into the US to lobby groups so that they can ask for more money from the government? And then when people are like, hey, we need to pass bills in order to be more transparent to investigate this, Joe Biden kills them. Explain to me, how does that make sense? Please, if somebody can make sense of this and tell me that it's not corruption, that it's not slush funds, that there's not something to be gained by those politicians here, I want to fucking hear it.
I mean, I know for like, you and sort of people on the right, your side, this probably already confirmed some ideas you've got about Biden and just the last Democratic administration and things
obviously.
like that. And you probably have your own very specific ideas of what's going on. And I'm gonna say, like, I'll take the devil's advocate position. Say, like, I'm open to like, I'm not gonna jump to a conspiracy theory, but like, somebody's got to fucking explain this, right? Like, there's so much smoke here. I mean, there's got to be something that I almost feel like, please give me something to cling to, even if it's a stupid, ridiculous excuse that I can, just say, yes, maybe that was it, even though I won't believe it in my head. Give me something. I don't even see that. I don't even see that. And I mean,
and see, what you just said there is exactly how I feel.
Yeah. It's just, I feel like that's, and I mean, the media is not covering that. Why are they not covering that? Like, regardless of whether
maybe we're becoming media, bro. Maybe that's our job. Because that's how I see it. I see this as your job and my job to cover this shit. Because again, you'll see right now we're bashing a bit on the left because it's so hypocritical. But I will bash on the right after this segment. So don't get me wrong. I'm calling bullshit where bullshit is. And this is bullshit and needs to be addressed, and people need to be explained. There's a lot of fucking explanation that needs to be done here. We need to explain what the fuck is going on.
Absolutely. And the thing is, like, people might say, like, oh, you guys are just picking on the left. No, not necessarily. We're picking on wrongdoing. But the reason it seems like we're picking on the left is the left has had pretty much total cultural and political dominance over the last 20 to 30 years of society, except for a few brief periods like Donald Trump won and blah, blah, blah. But like certainly cultural dominance.
100%.
These are all left-wing liberal policies, ideas put into place. There will come a time, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, where we're going to have tangible results from the right-wing ascendancy that's going on right now. And we will hold them to account too. We'll be able to judge them. But like right now, this is the result of liberal and left-wing policies and administration and culture. And so, yeah, we're the ones that have been in charge. So if there's blame to go around, it's going to fall largely on the left.
But I'm not even looking at blaming people at this point. I like right now,
No, I agree.
it's not going to serve any purpose for us to point fingers and this and that. Should
Let's
those
figure it
people
out.
that are responsible be held accountable? 100%. But can we stop with this bullshit that this is a left versus right issue? Because it's not. This is this has nothing to do with political affiliation. This is about fucking common sense. And women like Rachel Maddow are literally lying on TV and trying to make a case for something that is false. You don't get to defend it by trying to make us bad for not helping somebody in the Congo when you have NGOs funded by the USAID that are actually responsible for asking for more money so that they can send more money to terrorists. Are you fucking kidding me?
Sorry, go ahead.
Hold on, let me read that. So law of probability 2, there was the known problem that aid organization would have to give a cut to corrupt governments, but this is much larger than that. People will conflate the real problem with that. And you know what? I agree. This is just the tip of the iceberg. One thing I got to tell you, and I don't know if you're a guy or a woman, so I'm just going to call you a dude, but the thing that I'm trying to do, at least from my part on the right side, that I'm a conspiracy theorist. Like I've been one for 30 years, but I'm trying not to go down that path. I'm really trying to keep it on the common sense. So the videos that I choose, that I show to you guys, I'm not trying to go down that rabbit hole to make you swallow the red pill. I hope that you do. I hope that it inspires you to go do your own research and actually look into this. And this is the goal. I just want to show you the tip of the iceberg, because it's very hard for somebody that has critical thinking, that actually can think for themselves, to look at USAID right now and just say, what the fuck is going on? Like there's something going on. And if
that's it. There's something going on.
Exactly. If I can show you the corruption, I can show you the hypocrisy, I can show you how the message from one side and the other are so contrary that, bro, there's something going on here. So this is the goal. Do I think that this is the tip of the iceberg? Oh, fuck yes. Do I think that this is nothing compared to what's really happening? Oh, fuck yes. But this is not what the show's about. I'm really trying to have people put their helmets, their thin foil on hat for the first time and just say, boy, boy, maybe there's something
this doesn't even need to be conspiracies, right? This is just good old-fashioned political scandal. Like those are officials who are very unambiguously answering questions, and those questions should be enough to at least warrant a very, very serious investigation and very serious concern about what's going on.
It's coming. Law of probability 2 also says, when I was in law school, Samantha Power was the darling of the human rights set. I'm glad I didn't buy into the hype. If you don't know who Samantha Powers is, she was the USAID administrator.
Drag her to the hill and let's ask some questions.
Bro, this is the type of shit that, I'm a Christian. I'm supposed to forgive people, but there's certain lines that I can't cross. Like, fuck with children. You deserve the death penalty. Though there's limits where I cannot, I just can't. And this is one of them. If you are literally taking advantage of people that don't know better, or that don't know the truth, that we didn't know the truth, or you're actually putting measures in place that are killing your own people, bro, this is one of those things. There's a fine line there. That woman should be fucking brought to justice. If she doesn't rot in hell, she should be fucking hung. There are things where you're killing your own people. This is so wrong. It's just so fucking wrong. And you're not talking just your people. You're talking about military men and women that wanted to protect their country and then might have got killed by American money funding the people that were supposed to protect the Americans against. There's things that this to me is a no-no. Like this, you deserve the death penalty for those type of things. So let's hold those fucking people accountable and give them real fucking consequences, not just smack on the wrist and a low pardon. Fuck your pardons. Do something with this, because this needs to stop. This is just wrong, morally wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I'm a little less punitive. I'm not actually opposed to the death penalty. But for sure, like, I'm big on accountability. And if at a bare minimum, if this gets proven and then she should be brought in front of a court of law, and at the very least should spend the rest of her life in jail.
Yep.
I think we could debate the death penalty. I'm not even opposed to it per se. I personally, I think it should be saved for like the worst of the worst of the worst. Like,
yep.
But still, like, accountability, like that's the common ground here, right? That's what needs to happen. And I hope this does not get swept under the rug, because that's what leads to this, right? These elites, they know they can get away with it. There'll be some intern that takes the fall, some fall guy who does a couple years in prison, but the Sam Powers of the world, they get away with it.
And this is my point, right? Whatever, if you agree with me or not on the death penalty, or if what she deserves, but that type of person deserves serious consequences.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear the slap on the wrist. Oh, well, she's never going to work for the government again.
Yeah.
No. I want to see.
She won't get invited to the cocktail parties on the Beltway anymore.
I want to see serious consequences, because you know what? If an American as an individual was found to have paid terrorist organizations that ended up killing Americans, it has to be something along the line of treason.
Yes.
Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Law of probability sounds like you're a lawyer. So if tell us. If I'm responsible, let's say I'm an American, I invest money, I'm caught giving money to a terrorist organization that killed Americans, and this is found out. What would be the penalty of that? As just a regular guy, not as a government department like USAID, just as a regular guy, what would be the consequences to that? Because I guarantee you, I wouldn't get away with this. There would be some serious fucking problems happening to me afterwards. And this is how we need to treat those people. They need to be held accountable, like I would be held accountable.
Like anyone would be.
It's Friday, so there's a huge, hold on. Cool. Man, I love when people fucking respond. Can you tell me if you're a dude or a woman? Because as much as I don't care about gender, I would rather not call you a woman if you're a dude, or vice versa. You have two options. Don't give me a fucking pronoun. You have two options.
They, them. Well, what was the last one? Would that be Ethel Rosenberg? And
I'm a guy. Okay, cool, bro. Just read the comment, because some people are just listening, bro.
So yeah, there's a huge aversion to treason trials, but it's theoretically possible to have one. I believe, Ethel, and I forget her husband's name. The Rosenbergs were certainly the 60s or 70s. I'm pretty sure that might be the last one that I can think of. They got the death penalty
for treason.
Yeah, I think they were spying on the Soviet, for the Soviet Union. They had access to secrets, and a different time. It's hard to imagine someone getting the death penalty for that today. But I mean, if it can be proved that there's, you did something that like that, and there was a good chance to believe it could result in the death of Americans, and it did. I mean, that's I mean, some like an example has to be made. You can't
Actually,
let this
that
go.
isn't correct. I'm cutting you off because it's incorrect.
What is
As
it?
per what I'm seeing right now, and it's not an extensive research here, but from what I'm seeing here, the last person executed for treason in the United States was William Bruce Mumford in,
Okay.
in 1862.
Well,
He was hanged. Oh, no, hold on. Listen to this. He was hanged for tearing down a U.S. flag during the Civil War. Can you imagine how many people from the pro-Palestine movement would be fucking hanging right
No, I
now?
mean, and that seems a bit extreme. I don't think that's, you know, I don't think that's right. But man, how times have changed. Eh? Just quickly look up Ethel Rosenberg then, because Julius, I believe, was her husband's name.
Brother, we don't even need to. We got a fucking lawyer that's on point. Rosenberg were for espionage, not treason.
Oh, okay. Well, it's semantics.
It's semantic. You're talking to a lawyer. Everything's fucking semantics with lawyers.
Semantics.
That's what they do for a living, is to make sure that what you're saying is 100% accurate. So, you know, let's
yeah, well, let's move on.
Try to make it a bit funnier, because this has been me just fucking hinging and swearing, and it drives me nuts. This type of shit absolutely drives me nuts. But let's make it a bit funnier. Let's show some Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings is going to knock some motherfuckers out. But this is what we were saying. So we had Rachel Maddow that was defending USAID. Now we showed you a video about how the money is actually used. And now we have a panel with Scott Jennings, because Scott Jennings, if you don't know who he is, he has a panel with a bunch of lefties on CNN. And when I say he has a panel, he's not the one running it. It's the black girl you're going to see in the video that's actually running it. He's just a panelist on a panel of lefty, being the only conservative. But Scott Jennings is just fucking haymaker after haymaker after haymaker. And this is just try to see how lefties are trying to explain USAID and look at
and note the body language. Note the body language of Jennings versus the people. If you could watch this on mute, and you can probably tell who's right. You know what I mean? Just because when you're right, you've got that sort of, there is something, I don't know what you call it, righteousness maybe, but you know that you're right, and it's very easy to defend against these kind of bad faith attacks.
So Scott Jennings schooling some lefties. This is how I call this video.
Can we be real for a moment that Doge is not about cutting money, right? It's not about spending. It's about shrinking government so that it'll be too small to stop Trump with whatever else is in this plan.
Why would the government stop Trump? Isn't he the head of the government? You're saying the government would be too small to stop Trump. If Trump's the president, why would the government, the bureaucracy, be actively trying to stop him?
Because they want to shredding the Constitution and creating an authoritarian dictatorship. That's why.
And no matter who is in office, I'm going to hold them accountable. But more importantly, I'm going to make sure the government is working for the American people.
Both of you all made an interesting point, which is that your view is that Trump is shredding the Constitution. I'd like to hear more about that. But that it seems to me that you all both believe that the unelected part of our government, the bureaucracy, has a responsibility to resist the political leadership. Is that your view?
That's not actually
That's
what
not
we
at all
said. We
what I
said they
said.
are
Yeah, it is.
upholding the Constitution, the principles of the Constitution, and at times
How
that
is
we have
Trump
seen.
shredding the Constitution?
My God, he's like. Should
I
we
mean,
go to-
seriously,
He
do we
doesn't
have to
believe
give
in
you?
the
How-
balance of
I mean,
Constitution.
No, stop. Don't let them look like fucking idiots. Like, come on, I'll replay it afterwards, but let them, because the reaction is the most beautiful part of this clip.
We
Is
have
Trump
seen.
shredding the Constitution?
My God, he's like. Should
I
we
mean,
go to-
seriously,
He
do we
doesn't
have to
believe in
give
the
you a
balance of
civics
power,
lesson
Scott.
that we have?
I don't know,
we put all power in the executive
How is
branch.
holding the
The
government-
legislative branch, the FBI. Now we're in control of the military. We're
Yes.
silencing media.
Commander-in-Chief,
This
head
is
of
what
the
you
military.
do
That's a
in a
great part of power.
dictatorship.
Are
This
you
is not.
suggesting that the president is not the commander-in-chief of the military?
I am suggesting that the president is going to put in charge somebody who is going to contravene the Constitution. And at some near point, this conversation will look very silly for you because it will be obvious. And right now, you're gaslighting. But when we get to the actual rubber on the road of this, it will be clear.
I'm interested in this conversation. He's going to put someone in charge who will contravene the Constitution. Like who? What do you mean by that? The president is in charge of the military, is he not? You said he's going to put someone in charge of the military?
The president is in charge of the military. That is how it works.
He was elected president. We, according to the Constitution, vest all executive authority in a president. And the concept that the military should be an independent agency or that the bureaucracy should resist the political leadership of this government is extraordinarily dangerous.
That's what we said. That's a straw
That's not
man.
what we said. That's literally not what we said.
I'm just repeating back to you your own
I
words.
did not.
Can we be real?
So now let's replay it and give your commentary on this one, because, you know, even the black girl, the host, and I don't know what her name is, it was on the wall, but I didn't catch it. She's even like, no, but hold on. The president is in charge of the military.
guys,
like, that's how, even her, like, hey, shut the fuck up. Like, you're really fucking dumb here. Like, shut up.
He's right. He's right. But just a total chill. Like you can just tell by the body language. He knows he's right. And you can tell by their body language that they know they're right. You can tell that deer in headlights look that they've gotten into, because they're so used to these sort of like left-wing pundits are so used to just throwing words like this out there, like he's against the Constitution, blah, blah, blah. They never, I mean, we talk a lot about this left-wing echo chamber that's been built up. This is the result of it. Your arguments are weak and feckless because they're not sharpened. Like, this is how you sharpen your arguments, is by engaging in debate. But when you don't, it's like, you know, your muscles atrophy. This is like basically liberal persuasive muscles have been atrophied because we don't need to use them, because we're so terrified of fucking hearing an opinion that differs from ours. We've created this little echo chamber, and then you got these 5 or 6 or 7 guys who look like impotent little fools against Scott Jennings, who's fucking sipping a coffee, like having a nap, just
Pretty sure he picked his nose at one point, like, just like, don't care.
He brings his intern in, sits him there while he goes for a snooze or something. Like, it's not hard. And that's what happens when you don't ever have to defend your position, because you don't ever listen, or you don't ever put yourself around anyone.
You're never challenged.
Yeah. And these people like that, up until now, they've been able to get away with that because the media will just silence it. They won't put them in a debate. Now they have to have the debate now because Trump's in power. But man, the left is so just,
you're gonna realize in the future that this conversation is gonna make you look stupid, bro. You look like a fucking ass clown right now. You don't even need to go to the future.
Well, here we are, what, an hour or one day in the future from that, and this guy's, you know, he's not looking so hot.
So Jason is saying that did this asshat say silencing the media? I believe he did. We're gonna rewatch it because it's just I want to stop it on certain, as you said, because you've been pointing out the look at the body language, and I'm just gonna stop it at certain places just so you see. But let's answer some of the comments. So, law of probability, they can't give specific, and the looking around as is they're trying to think. They're not trying to think. They're going full Biden.
They've realized that, oh shit, these things that I've just been mindlessly repeating for the last 8 years. Yeah, shit, I can't actually defend them. Oh no. It's a total deer in headlights. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for them.
They think as law of probabilities finishing, they can't think of a single specific example to repeat. No, but that's
and
exactly
if they
right.
could, they would say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
but they just can't.
Just the fact that they felt comfortable to come on a show without doing any research and making an accusation like that, it shows you the culture that they're used to.
Because Scott Jennings didn't say anything. He's just like, please explain yourself. Then he repeats their own words to them. That's not what I said. They should have somebody that does sorry, sirs. Just they have a big screen. They just rewind. This is what you just said. Law of probability. Hold on. Let me just read his 2 comments. There actually is an administrative law concept of independent agency, but the military is very clearly meant to be under direct elected control, thus the president. 100%. Couldn't agree with you more. And again, law of probability, it is actually easier to be one person arguing against multiples, since they have to know everything and how it relates. Multiple people gamble their partners know stuff they ignore. Oh shit, that is a very good point. That's true. Because you feel the strength in numbers, so you're like, oh, somebody else is gonna know. That debate just showed us.
and you can tell Jennings has just the super chill, almost smug, you could maybe call it arrogant, a little demeanor of someone who knows that they're right, and they know that, you know, when people watch this, they're going to know that he's right. Like, it's just of someone who's winning an argument.
If you guys are aware of what Jason means by this, you got knocked the fuck out, Chris Tucker Friday style. You just got knocked the fuck out. Yes, I agree with you. And Scott Jennings didn't even need to actually punch anything. He didn't even throw a jab. He literally just stood there, parried a few punches, and that was
just
the argument just fell. Like I bobbed and weaved, like he went Mayweather style, just bobbed and weave. And that's it. It just fell. They just kept on swinging. But because it's Friday, we need to at least make it funny. Let's rewatch this one more time. I'm going to go fucking pee during this time, but I'm going to play this again because you stop it and comment on this. Just pause where they make the faces because you keep on talking about body language and you're right. Like, you know what? Hold on. See, I cut the volume. Prove a point. Play it and stop, and let's just look at body language. Go for it.
Yeah, good call. And he didn't press play, of course, so I will. And this is it is against the Constitution. You see, when Biden, blah, blah. See, he's pretty confident here, all right. And then he looks very smugly over to Jennings. Jennings, just chill over here. I am going to put, no, I can't unmute, for fuck's sakes. I liked this part because she was saying, oh, I will hold everyone accountable, whoever they are. And it's like, nah, are you sure about this? Because I didn't see, the left-wing media really be clowned themselves, especially recently in the end stages of Biden's administration. Like, remember how they were covering for him for the dementia thing? We talked about this yesterday, Nico. They weren't even just like, they were actively going after people for suggesting. And we all saw the videos. We saw like him, walking around stage, looked like he was walking into a closet or something. That clearly no clue who he is, where he is. And then they're telling us he's sharp as a tack. And it's fake news and it's misinformation. And then we see on the debate, oh shit, no, he actually is in extreme late stage dementia or whatever. And these people just showed their entire ass, and now they just pretend like it didn't happen. And this woman over here is saying, oh, we hold everyone accountable. No, you fucking
Can you hear me? Can you hear me right now?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, Jason was saying he couldn't hear me. You know why you couldn't hear me? Because I wasn't there. I was actually peeing. I drink too much water, bro. But no, just so you know, when the video's up there, if you look at not at the bottom, but where the video is in the screen, there's a little play button right next to it. There's a mute button. You can unmute it from there.
Yeah. This is funny. Look at this here, Jason.
No, but there you go.
Jason, caption this. Maybe that'll be a thing that we do. We'll play a clip like this, and then we'll pause it and we'll caption it as we go. What is this guy? Law of Improbability.
Hold on.
You look smart. Yeah, I believe that. That's what he was saying. You said I am very
actually
smart.
Does it? Does it? Actually, it does. See, look at me. I look so much smarter now. Hey.
And Joe, Donald Trump is breaking the Constitution. I'm very smart. You can tell because of my glasses. So I mean,
let's play it again. Let's play one more time. Let's actually play it with the sound again.
It's not about cutting money, right? It's not about spending. It's about shrinking government so that it'll be too small to stop Trump with whatever else is in this plan.
As a libertarian, I believe in small governments. The smaller government possible, put less and less restrictions on people. Just take care of programs like fix the roads, make sure that we have a military, stop sending your money overseas, and put more power into people's hand. That guy right there is the perfect leftist. the government is going to become too small. We need a big government. Communism 101 right there.
Yeah, and it's funny. That was a great place to stop it on, because I think obviously,
Well,
as you know, as the liberal, obviously me and you would have different opinions on, you know, our expectation of the role of government. I'm not for like massively bloated government, but I'm sure that I would be more for bigger government than you would be.
Yes.
But to say that I want small government is an absolutely valid political opinion. So he's starting there, and he's like, he's trying to shrink government, which is, he may very well be trying to do that, and that is a valid political take. And since Donald Trump was elected, he's free to do that. But then he just assumes this super, he assumes that it couldn't just be that he wants smaller government because he's just a libertarian and believes in small government. It has to be this, well, he's doing it because so that he can, destroy the rest of government, and like just assumes sort of almost criminal motivation, when it seems like you could go with very benign motivation. There's lots of people who want very small government. And even if I don't personally necessarily agree with those people, it is a valid political take. It's not extreme or radical in any sense.
And just the way he's paused right now, does that man look intelligent? Like,
he's got
seriously.
glasses. He's got glasses.
Does he look intelligent? He looks like a fucking kook. I see that guy at a party like this. I'm like, no. I'm avoiding that conversation because I know where this is gonna go. Like,
almost reminds me of like the professor from Back to the Future. Marty, you got to go to 1986.
Can you not give them? Can you not give them ideas to reboot it with a black scientist professor?
Well,
Shut up. Shut up. Stop it. And what's his name? McFly is gonna be a little Asian girl. Like, can we stop with this shit already?
McFly.
Why would the government stop Trump? Isn't he the head of the government?
See, this is my point. Okay, hold on. So Trump is reducing the government so that they don't stop him. Is he not the one running the government?
Yeah. Why?
Are you hearing yourself talk?
Yeah. It's Jason.
Oh, Biff will be trans. Oh yeah, you're absolutely. You're absolutely right, bro.
You're saying the government would be too small to stop Trump. If Trump's the president, why would the government, the bureaucracy, be actively trying to stop him?
Because they want to uphold
shredding the Constitution and creating an authoritarian dictatorship. That's
how.
Defend yourself there. How? Defend yourself. Show your work.
The first thing that those type of governments that they're talking about, they start with removing free speech. They start with taking the guns away and taking free speech. Who were the one going after the guns? Democrats. Who were the one going after free speech? Democrats. And we're not talking 20 years from now. Biden and Kamala Harris got caught putting pressure on Meta to censor conservative people. So that is literally going after free speech. And if you listen to Kamala Harris's speech while trying to become president, she kept on saying that she would go after the Second Amendment. Though I've shared those videos so many times. So he's basically describing what the Democrats have been doing while trying to blame Trump for something that he hasn't done yet. If that's going to happen, sorry, bruh, he hasn't done it yet.
I mean, like, it just shows perfectly this atrophied brain of the left at the moment. Like, these are just such weak arguments, and it relies on no one ever pushing back. Like, to say right. Fascist dictatorship, like, regardless of what you feel about Donald Trump and his policies, fascist dictatorships, that's the specific meaning. It's not just a buzzword to mean anything you don't like. There's like fascist governments, specifically the Mussolini's government during World War II, they do very specific things. And one things they definitely don't do is champion free speech. They don't they don't cut regulations on business. Like, you may not agree with that, with Donald Trump doing that, but he's acting absolutely like a pretty classical conservative politician. To call that a fascist dictatorship, it just shows your lack of intellect, your lack of understanding about history. And God forbid, if a fascist dictatorship ever arises, you're going to want to have some powder in there. If nobody believes this shit, it's just, it's a buzzword on the left for anything I don't like is a Nazi or a fascist. And it's just, I don't know. Fuck. Listening to me today, you might be like, how's this guy even a liberal? But I'm just disgusted with it all. Like the whole left. Like,
guy, to answer that question, I'll answer it for you. This is the 26th episode we'll record in literally 5 weeks. That's why you're spending too much time with a Nazi conservative Christian like me, bro. Sorry. But you know, the funniest part about this guy is, again, look at the screen. The screen is perfectly like, look at his.
He looks like a lunatic,
and look at him.
He looks like, oh, I'm right. How can you tell? Well, because I have glasses on. For one, I went to did he actually go to Harvard, Jason? Or is that just Jason says that's a Harvard grad? It wouldn't surprise me.
He has the look of somebody that went to Harvard.
Yes,
I think that's what he's saying.
Lots of unintelligent people go to Harvard, especially if there's another reason for it, like your activism or something. Like David Hogg, right? David Hogg went to Harvard, and he did
such a brilliant young man.
Yeah, I mean, his claim to fame was just to happen to be at a school that got shut up. Like, there's nothing special about this guy. And I didn't mean this to be a David Hogg rabbit hole, but the fact that he's now vice chair of the DNC is like such a perfect example of what I mean, where it doesn't matter. Like, on the left right now, it's just penalizing excellence and lifting up mediocrity. It doesn't matter that he's not that intelligent. And I don't even want to rip on the guy. It's not his fault that he's not smart, but he's just, if all his only claim to fame is that he was in a school that happened to get shut up, that's not a good reason to make him the vice chair of the DNC. It just isn't.
But it's the same thing as Greta Thunberg being the face of climate change.
Well, now she's the face of Palestinian. She's kind of
oh yeah, because the climate change is dwindling. She doesn't have anything else. So this is the same thing. Like Hogg is the same thing. Young person that don't know what the fuck they're talking about anything. But they're the face of the future because they're young people. We need to listen to the young people. So let's finish this.
Oh, just want to. That's a great comment. I'm glad to have law of.
But you need to move the camera settings when you do that, because or else it fuck the video. I don't know why it does that, but the video covers it. But we're good now. So
we're good now. I got you.
Yeah.
Democratic Party internal politics have been heavy on mascots, low on details, and long-term planners and risk assessment. I mean, that's a great way to describe Hogg. He's a mascot, right? He does the dog and pony show. There's no substance there. And it's just, you can only do that for so long before everyone of any talent or skill has been pushed out and you're just filled with mascots. And eventually it will collapse. And I think that's what we're seeing now. Just, it will collapse in its own incompetence.
Oh, and you know what? I got 2 videos I didn't talk to you about. I'm going to finish with those. They're fucking hilarious, but they're kind of, what you just said there, yes, and those videos will prove it to you. So let's finish this one more time. We'll just laugh real time. I won't stop it again because we're running out of time. But you know what? Let's start it from the get-go, and I'm just letting it go.
For a moment, that Doge is not about cutting money, right? It's not about spending.
Yes, super tiny hands. They kind of creep me out.
To stop Trump with whatever else is in this plan.
Why would the government stop Trump? Isn't he the head of the government? You're saying the government would be too small to stop Trump. If Trump's the president, why would the government?
You can see his brain starting to short circuit here.
He's having some Joe Biden moments.
You know, I love when he's like,
who was in office, I'm going to hold them accountable.
I don't think
the way you held Joe Biden accountable.
Yes, exactly. Which is that your view is that Trump is shredding the Constitution. I'd like to hear more about that.
Watch her body language here.
It seems to me that you all both believe that
it's so obvious to her.
Government, the bureaucracy, has a responsibility to resist the political leadership. Is that your view?
That's not actually what we said. We said they are upholding the Constitution, the principles of the Constitution.
So you know what's funny is that you see the 2 white women there. They're kind of Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Well,
So I think that
because
but what Love Probability was saying earlier, that they're relying on other people to pick up the slack. Those, have you noticed throughout the clips, those two are not talking. They're like, yep, I'm not helping you on that one. Even
also,
the black girl's going to show up like,
if you're in the
right.
DNC, if you're in the DNC
Yep.
right now and you're in it, you know, if you're a white person, you understand the rules, right? If
Oh,
there's a
your
person of color
position.
speaking, you sit there quietly because they are inherent, like what they have to say is inherently more important to you than what you have to say. The you know, the validity of the argument is irrelevant. The color of the skin is all that matters.
Black people are talking.
Yes, exactly. Or I mean, if there's ever like a trans woman of color speaking, like, you know, for miles around, there better be a moment of silence.
So basically, the black girl has more power than the black guy. The host has as much power, has a bit more power because she's in charge of white people on top of it. So she's the head because she's ruling white people. She's second. The black guy's third. The two white women are
like
fourth, and then
DNC,
then Scott Jennings is the last one on the priority.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that to me, because how dare I judge people by what they say, not by their skin color? Sorry,
exactly,
I'm just a regular conservative that actually gives credit to people for how they act and what they say.
Opinions, right?
Oh, thanks for explaining that to me. You're bringing me back. I'm kind of starting to understand how fucking retarded leftists are.
And this is mostly like, you know,
sorry to retards. Once again, I'm sorry. I don't mean to insult retards.
And this is like, you know, for people in democratic politics, broadly speaking, most people in the real world don't really think like this. But I remember when Hogg did get elected as vice chair, I remember watching some of those speeches, and there was like at least 3 or 4, you know, black women who came up, and they literally said, a black woman is talking. You guys, you know, shut the fuck up. It shouldn't say shut the fuck up, but that, like, that's the exact attitude. And it's like, no, man, like, I'm not going to play along with that anymore. Like, I want to listen to intelligent people say intelligent things, and I don't give a shit what the color of your skin is, but I'm not going to just pretend that the color of your skin makes what you say relevant or interesting or important. I'm not going to pretend that anymore.
So I removed this video because we're running out of time, and I really want to finish with those 2 other ones. We've already watched it, but this is, to me, so ironic. So the people on that panel outside of Scott Jennings, I think that the video I'm going to show you right now is Don Lemon. He posted that yesterday. It is so cringy. And for the people out there, if you don't remember who Don Lemon was, he was one of the most popular news anchor on CNN about not even 2 years ago. He got canned, tried to do tried to move the Don Lemon show to X, did one interview with Elon Musk. Elon Musk made him look stupid, and he's like, yeah, we're not going to have you here. And ever since then, he's been recording his show in his living room. Rob and I were laughing about that this week. But this, bro, have you seen the video, the cringe video from Don Lemon yesterday? Have you seen it yet?
Is it the same one we saw, or is it a different one?
No, brand new from yesterday.
Okay. I haven't seen it.
So I got a feeling that the people on that CNN panel are going to end up like Don Lemon. Check this video out. Yeah, check this video out.
All right.
Oh, it's bad, bro. It's bad. So cringy. Look at this. He's showing pictures of his pictures to people on the subway like an idiot.
Why? Why is he doing this?
Like, play that like I'm playing it again. Like, he posted that on his TikTok yesterday. This is Don Lemon 2 years ago, making millions of dollars every year. One of the faces of
fall from grace.
But that's brutal. So I did a video about this morning, and I'm like, I wonder if this is the future of Joy Reid. And I got one more video, because this one somebody sent me that. One of my followers sent me that on Instagram, and that one is for you, bro. This is for you because of how you became more enlightened about the left, but this
Yeah,
video
yeah,
shows you exactly what I think of a woke leftist. That video is exactly how I feel. This is exactly how I see them. Oh shit! Go ahead.
Law of improbability. Don Lemon started getting popular by being honest about social problems in the Black community, got addicted to the power from the woke faction, and he destroyed himself in pursuit of that. Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty accurate assessment. That's how I recall Don Lemon kind of coming up. He seemed to speak honestly and there was an authenticity about him. And now it's just, woke is it's a insatiable machine. Once you go down the road, it will always demand more, and it will always destroy you in the end.
Jason, notice he's on 42nd Street. If he did that on 145th, he would have gone effed off. Yeah, effed up like, fuck you, Lemon. But he knows better because he lived there for a minute. And law probability, Joy Reid is a lot dumber than Lemon. She probably won't fare as well as him. Hey, bro, he's recording from his living room with no assistant. He's literally doing it all by
Doing
himself.
what we're doing.
That's sad, bro. That's really sad. So,
I mean,
so literally, Joy Reid, I don't know what she has. If that's the case, McDonald's for you, I guess. So one more video because we got 3 minutes left. And this, Rob, when I saw that, this is for you.
All right.
This is how I see the woke left. Best depiction of the woke left ever seen. There you go.
I have gender skin color dysphoria. Yep. I am a white lesbian trapped in a black man's body. I'm 6 months pregnant and I love my husband, but the LGBTQ community won't accept me. And they tell me you could be what you want to be. And also, since I'm a white lesbian, I'm also a white supremacist and I hate black people.
And for the people that were listening to this was a 60-year-old black guy with a beard. Just so you guys know, that was very sarcastic.
It actually brings up a pretty interesting question, though. Is I don't know if you remember Rachel Dolezal or Dolezal or something. She was the white woman who was president of the NAACP chapter in Seattle, acting like a black woman,
girl?
right? Yeah,
the white girl.
The white girl who
I know
acted
exactly
like,
what you're talking about. Yep.
She had light, I think she like tanned her skin, but she was just a white girl, just a basic white girl, and she was very clearly, thrown out of polite society. That was wrong. But I mean, what if she really identified as a black woman? Like, why is that okay? But when a man really identifies as a woman, society falls all over themselves to give him unquestioned access to female single-sex spaces, to their bathrooms, to their change rooms, their prisons, their sports. So it's just now, if you ask them that, they'll say, "Oh, it's not the same thing." But how is it? How is it not? You've got two immutable identity traits. One is race, one is sex. And why is it okay to identify as one when you're not, but it's completely inappropriate to identify as the other when you're not? It's a rhetorical question, of course. There's no real answer to it, but just watch them tie themselves in knots when they, if you ask it to them.
You liked my video then? I saw that this morning. Somebody sent me
it was
that
great.
Yeah. I'm like, this to me is exactly how insane the woke has been over the past 10 years. I'm like, this is exactly how you sound.
We spent a lot of time together over the last month. We definitely know. We definitely know each other's buttons and what's.
I saw that. I'm like, fucking Rob's gonna like this. So we'll finish on the 3 last comments we have. Jason is saying that Joy Reid's last episode got 40K views. Any good podcast could beat that, bro. I made a video yesterday. I was walking in the street giving my opinion on something, and I got 150,000 views. That's pretty fucking sad. That is pretty sad. But again, ratings speaks for themselves, and that's free. That's free stuff. You don't have to pay for this shit either.
That's her
right?
show on MSNBC got that much? Oh, that's bad.
Prairie is clapping, laughing. We're happy that you enjoyed this. Oh, yes, I remember. That was probably about the white girl running the NAACP. And okay, last comment. That's the last one, Jason. We pretend race doesn't matter, but this conversation spun off a CNN clip that did not even bring up race. Not saying you're wrong, saying you're right for just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's accurate to say race doesn't matter. I don't think it needs to be centered in all aspects of life. I guess
Yeah.
that would be there are definitely times when it is
Agreed.
appropriate for sure.
Agreed. So on that note, guys, I want to remind you on Monday, March 3rd, we have a special guest called Judith Curry. She is a climatologist that goes against the mainstream narrative of climate change. She's our guest. It's going to be very good, and be ready because those are the type of interviews that we're going to bring to you. We want you guys to have questions, show up on the show, ask us those questions. I'll make sure to ask her, because this is me bringing a guest that I've spoken about for you lefties out there. This is all for Rob to be able to grill her. I'll moderate the event. That's the goal. But all to say that this is for you guys. We do this because we want to drive the conversation that you're not hearing anywhere else. So on Monday, we had Judith Curry. We're going to have Judith Curry. And on Thursday, we have Dr. Andrew Kaufman. Phenomenal dude. If you don't know who that guy is, Google him, but he's absolutely massive. And again, we want to have questions from you guys. We want to drive the conversation. That's the whole point. We want to have engagement from you guys. We want to be there to show that there's still possible to have a debate between the left and the right. And this is the whole point of the show. And
Jason says, amen. Love
no. Hey, amen. Jesus. I love when atheists use terms like that. It kind of makes me feel a little fuzzy on the inside.
Did he say atheist? I thought he was Christian. No.
Okay. I don't know. I can't even tell if he's white or black, so I don't fucking know what his religious beliefs are. So I don't know, bro. I don't know. All I know is I think he's not a girl. I think he's a dude. That I think I know for a fact. And he's kind of a lefty.
Smart guy. Oh, he's a Jesus.
Calling me a Jesus freak. So guys, on that note, we're done for today. We're done for this week. We appreciate every single one of you guys. We know that your time is valuable, and we appreciate you guys spending it with us. Thank you for the comments. This week has been insane. We're getting so many fucking comments. We absolutely fucking love it. Make sure to keep them coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Yeah. Thank you for being here. If you like this show, guys, make sure that you follow us on X at the Poly Orphans. Follow us on YouTube as well. Same thing, at the Poly Orphans. If you like Rob, make sure to follow him at Rob_the_builder on X. And if you want to see more of me, you can follow me at Real Nico Lagan absolutely everywhere. But really follow me on X. This is the only platform that's left for me to build. And this is the only place I get to be uncensored. So make sure to follow me there. And guys, have a phenomenal weekend, and we'll see you next week.
All right, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you Monday.